I know Sean had submitted monitoring profit and what people are doing to monitor profit, but I think everybody knows what they're doing and they're doing their best job to monitor profit. I think something that from the accounting perspective, and I think John can attest to this, cash flow is sometimes a lot more cash flow can be more devastating than profit. So if you run out of cash, you can run out of business. Your business can run out sooner than if it doesn't. So we just want to talk a little bit about what people are doing, obviously to increase their profit, and then what they're doing to manage and monitor their cash flow and things along those lines, because cash flow is king. So with that, we'll do it as a group. So I'm going to stop sharing screen and let everybody kind of chime in, and I guess we'll let it start with John. You can kind of introduce yourself to the team, because you did tell me you were a CPA for years. So this will be a nice intro for you to introduce yourself, tell you who you are, try to keep it about a minute or two, and then what your thoughts.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to join you guys. I'm in Central Time Zone, so I'm just waking up until then. It's getting my coffee down my throat. And I got an email this morning. My first email said I'd be joining March 23rd. And I got up this morning and saw one about 6 o'clock, said I would join. I was a CPA in Baton Rouge, Louisiana for 42 years, had my own local firm for a number of years. And about 10 years before I retired, I merged my firm with the largest firm out of New Orleans, Louisiana, and became their first acquisition. And after that, we merged in a Houston firm and 2 more Louisiana firms, and grew from about 10 million to about 30 million by the time I quit. I was a tax guy for the most part in real estate and legal in law firms. I did a lot of strategic planning retreats for law firms and real estate developers. Those were my specialties. And I did a lot of coaching of especially lawyers. And so I became, since I retired, I gave up my CPA license. I didn't want to practice tax anymore. I became a certified exit planning advisor, which is a person who helps entrepreneurs transition and get their business more valuable before they sell their business. And so that's what I'm presently doing, is trying to get going with that through social media, which is quite a change from being a CPA, growing up practice for 40 years with the country club and Ruth Chris's in the bars. So that's kind of who I am, and that's what I'm coming from. I've been invited as part of my coaching expertise. Been a registered corporate coach for a number of years, and I was in the strategic coach program for 10 years, which is Dan Sullivan. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that. It's probably one of the most premier coaching programs in the country, though. And I learned a lot through him. And probably the greatest story I have with that is I went home and fired 500 clients overnight with a letter. Kept 16 clients who generated 85% of my revenue, and the other 500 were 15% of my revenue, and caused me a lot of tax season headaches, as Dennis may well know. And it really changed my life and made me a lot more successful. So that's kind of my story. I'm here to help and answer any questions I can for coaching or anything.
Oh, go ahead, sir.
Yeah. So when it comes to kind of the monitoring, I like to take a look at last month's bills and see what's going to hit when, right? Going and knowing that, looking at the bank account, right? The cash that's there, and making sure that all can be covered. Generally, everything's good, knock on wood. But sometimes if I go, oh, it's getting it lower balance than I want, then I know it's time to pick something up, either move some money around, or it's a good motivation to go get some new clients, do some other type of work.
And is there anything you do with your billing or anything to coordinate to kind of balance cash flow, or anything that you specialize there? Because to work with, I know you mentioned in the past how, when the pandemic first happened, you were really working with customers as everything happened.
Yeah, one thing that I do that is, I don't want to say controversial, but there seems to be 2 sides to this in my business. For those of you who don't know me, I do website and management, maintenance, that kind of thing. So we have about 86 clients that every month we go in and we back up their website and we do the maintenance on it. A lot of companies like myself say, you're going to get billed on the 1st and every 1st, and that's when we do our billing. However, in my case, when we take on a new client, whatever day they start, kind of that's their billing date. So I know that there's cash coming in almost every day of the month. And I have a neat little thing. This is my vanity. So those of you who don't know me, I'm kind of into that kind of stuff. But when a payment comes in via either PayPal or credit card, it goes to my Slack channel that I have set up just for payments. And I can see every day money's coming in. If I check in the morning, there's nothing there. I go, oh, I didn't get any money today yet. I go, "Ah, all right, let me see if I can fill up something for this day." It's just nice to see every day.
Excellent. Excellent.
For me, I started my business, let's say 2.5 years ago. In the first 6 months, I tried to keep track of all that stuff, and I realized that wasn't my forte. So I ended up getting, well, I use QuickBooks, so that's very helpful. Dennis, I know you use, is it Xero? So
Yeah.
that might be another option for an online platform, but QuickBooks gives a really nice outlook of your last month's activity, your fiscal year, last fiscal year, your quarterly activity. So that really helps to see it with, you know, your revenue coming in versus your expenses and then your profit. But then I realized that I needed like a fractional CFO. So I found one on LinkedIn and I pay about $500 a month for that. And we do quarterly meetings where we compare, you know, what our goals are to what our actuals are. And he takes care of all of my taxes and like I just let him kind of do everything, and you know, everything seems to be working well. So I just realized that, you know, it wasn't worth my time to try to figure it out because somebody else out there had more expertise than I did. So I let someone else take care of it.
Maggie, you want to chime in what you do with this? I guess you're a fractional CFO for many people themselves, right?
You know what so when I first started, I was charging hourly rate, which was not working out so well because I just, you know, a lot of times my clients will call me and then there's 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there, and that adds up, which I wasn't billing for. And so what I've moved to a flat monthly rate. So it works for the client and it works for me as well. And I think Paul said that I also do, I have clients that pay on the 1st and I have clients that pay mid-month. So I always know that I'll either get paid on the 1st and the 15th. So it really helps with my cash flow. So I sort of schedule it that same way.
I have a question for all of you about that, actually. For those of you who bill all throughout the month, for me, I bill on the 3rd of the month every month. So it gives me 3 days for my employees to give me their hours on the 1st and the 2nd, and then I do the billing on the 3rd. But if people are constantly coming in and out for you guys in terms of clients and you're billing all the time, do you have that automatically set up to go out, or do you manually send out the invoice? I just feel like it's such busy work to send out an invoice almost every single day of the month. So can you explain that a little bit?
Everything's automated. Gosh, I would die sending out 86 invoices every month manually. So it's all set up. Not only is it set up to send them out, we keep the credit cards on file. So the system we use is just bills them. I don't even think about it until credit cards fail. I even have a process that when the credit card is coming up for expiration, it sends out the email that says, hey, your credit card's going to expire. Update it now before, you know, you lose any services due to non-payment.
And what platform do you use for that? For the
my billing system is called Keep. It used to be Infusionsoft is the name. They switched.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I put myself on ADP. I do payroll for companies as well. So a lot of my clients I bill bi-weekly through the ADP. When I run their payroll, I pay myself. And I also use Melio platform. So you can through Melio, which is nice because if you accept credit cards, you can pick whether the percentage, the merchant fee gets taken out of your account or the client's account, and they have to agree to that. So I can schedule that myself as well to pay myself from there or their schedule, the client schedule. But I have the full access to their Melio accounts as well. So I sort of pay myself
Sure.
Um,
Okay. See, for me, I have it automatically set up for the third. All of my reoccurring clients get their invoices, but I still have to go in and change all the line items on each of those clients because they don't always have the
Yeah.
same services. So for me, it's hard to audit. It's half automated, half manual because it has to be. So
Yeah.
yeah, that would be more of a challenge for me. But yeah, thank you. I'll look into those things.
Cool. Any other inputs on either cash flow and or profits on monitoring and driving? All right. Some other things as far as going through, just want to get some other people involved. So if you're just starting out with your business and you're going through, what other kind of billing situations have people looked at? How are people kind of billing? Are they just collecting from a parent company like Anthony? I'm sure you're getting paid obviously from the certain employers, but other people that are going out and have multiple employees or multiple clients, how are you going about, making sure that you get paid and monitoring them and those aspects? Any inputs?
My situation's getting a little more convoluted now because initially it was just the Schoolie Mitchell, and what ends up happening is I'm kind of at the mercy of, really, it's interesting, in the beginning of my clients, but then of head office, because we do quarterly post audits on people's last 3 invoices. So depending on when I sign the client and when we gathered the material and presented the value report and they accepted it, then we implement the cost reduction, and I bill quarterly. So quarterly, I'm getting post audit reports from head office for each individual client. So that could be at any given time during the year. But I mean, I do know the tentative schedule for each client. But once I get an email from head office that says, here's the post audit report, and I end up getting billed by my franchise for whatever percentage, because they do the production work. So I end up sending an invoice straight to my client, and then I wait to get paid by them. And then when I submit the billing and the collections for head office, then I end up getting invoiced and billed from the head office. They have my checking account. So it's kind of like my cash flow takes about, probably to get paid by a client from the time I sign, it was about 6 to 8 months, no joke. So my goal is really to scale up and either get a higher volume of clients, or scale up and get larger clients. So when the sporadic payout is more of a larger amount. So that's what initially started. Now that I work with the independent biotech company, and my book's going to come out and I'm going to do an online course, I'm now going to start my website for Profit Compassion, and I'm going to have to generate that way. So my editor is going to use Keep. I heard somebody say Keep. It's the first I learned of it, as the CRM. And that's all happening now behind the scenes. When the book comes out in July, that's when, I don't know, my head is spinning right now. So, but it'll be a good spin, I guess.
And Jake, you want to talk a little bit about how you do with the bookstore? Is some of your bookstore revenue, is that all just done online, or what are you doing with that stuff?
So it's a little convoluted because there's the regular bookstore website and there's also the Amazon side of things. So the Amazon side, obviously we send the books to Amazon and then they sell it. And once they sell it, then we get our cut of the profit. So it's a little all over the place. We get paid from them twice a month. But with the bookstore through Shopify online, it's kind of 2 business days after the sale. So if somebody bought a couple books on Thursday, by like Saturday, or I guess figuring weekend days, Monday, we'll see the money for that. So it's a little hard to keep track of because it's so random of when people are purchasing books. But we are trying to keep it so that the money from Amazon covers all the expenses of the bookstore, like the storage unit, the subscriptions to the services, and purchasing more books if needed. And then the rest of it kind of becomes gravy at that point, so we can expand and build it from there. So it's not an exact science, but the idea is that the Amazon sales cover the expense and we kind of grow from there.
Now, do you do your own fulfillment, or is the fulfillment by Amazon even on your Shopify sold books?
So Shopify, we fulfill ourselves, but Amazon, we have them fulfill because there's just way too much going on there and not enough storage in my 1-bedroom apartment for all of those books. And so I have decided that that is much more. I will rather pay them the couple extra dollars for them to do it. Plus, you get sales faster because then they can do it with Prime shipping. So if they wanted to get a book and get it in 2 days, now you are one of those books as opposed to someone shipping it from their house. Now you got to pack it, ship it. Takes a couple more days, and Lord only knows with the postal system. I'd rather have Amazon shipping it for me. So that's kind of how we work that out.
Excellent, excellent. And finally, Danelle, what have you been doing with? I know you've just kind of really launched your new site and all. How are you going with that?
I'm kind of an example of what not to do in this area because, as most of you guys know, like I teach at a college. I am an employee there. I teach at some gyms where I am an employee. I teach at some places where I am a contractor, 1099, and I do my own business, through my website, as Dennis mentioned. So yay, finally got it up. So it's a mess. It's an absolute mess, and I need to figure it out.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, that's why we're here talking about things. And so, Wendy, you want to introduce yourself a little bit? And I assume everything comes from Pampered Chef for you?
Yeah, I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So I'm Wendy Kushnicki. I am an independent consultant with Pampered Chef. So I am your go-to kitchen guru for all of your cooking challenges. If you're not familiar with Pampered Chef, it is all kinds of cookware, kitchen gadgets, anything to make it easier for you to get a meal on the table. We do have pantry items, seasonings, sauces, oils, that kind of thing, but we are not home chef. I get asked that a lot. So Pampered Chef does not provide you with the groceries to make your meal. We provide all of the kitchen products to get it there. So yes, we are a direct sales company. So I don't have to worry about inventory. I don't have to worry about billing or credit card processing or any of that stuff because my home office takes care of all of that for me. And then I get paid on a 1099. So, that's, this is interesting listening to you guys talk, but I don't have these kind of issues. So I just have to worry about getting the sale.
So as far as with the pandemic and all, how's that impacted your business? I mean, I assume there used to be parties, in-person parties, and that kind of went away during the pandemic.
Yeah, I was never fully in-home parties. So I always had customers. I have customers who work for the airlines who are in the medical profession. They have crazy work schedules, and so do their friends. So for them, the in-home party thing never worked. I've been with Pampered Chef for almost 6 years now. So I did have a few years pre-pandemic to get my business established. But yeah, my love is the in-home party, to actually get to meet people, chat with them, cook for them, let them taste the recipe and try out the kitchen products if they want. But obviously that's not the case anymore. So most of my parties now are virtual, either on Facebook. I do cooking demos on Zoom. I now have a 15-minute express party that can be done either by texting or Messenger. And I just blast out 10 different product sets, usually in short videos, with just a little bit of extra information, toss a few games, some cooking tips, recipes in there. That's been a lot of fun. And people are starting to get back into the in-home parties. I actually have one tomorrow night. I have a few people who said, contact me in May when the weather gets nicer, we'll go outside. So, backyard barbecues have been very popular. But I think after all the, seeing who everybody was getting COVID from, over the holidays and stuff, it tended to be your immediate family, not the people that you saw casually. So I think people are starting to get a little more relaxed about getting together with their friends now. So, but actually during the pandemic was crazy because everybody was cooking and realized, like Jake contacted me and a bunch of other people did too. I need a vegetable peeler. I need a can opener. I need a food chopper, whatever, because people were cooking when they weren't before. So, it's been a kind of a roller coaster the last few years with Pampered Chef.
So excellent. Good to hear. So anybody, last chance, last call? All right, so we are going to go live. Before we go live, just so I know, is anyone going to be giving any shout outs to anyone?
I'm going to do a quick shout out to Lance.
Dennis, I wanted to ask to Desiree, is that how you say your name?
Yes.
Okay, I was going to suggest to you after listening to you to consider what Maggie is starting to do is to bill by project. And maybe you can't do that with your existing clients, but if you start with your new clients and you create an engagement letter when you first start with them, say, I'm going to provide you with all of these services, then you can send them an invoice that just says invoice for November or March or whatever per engagement letter. And it saves you all of that outlining everything that you've done for them. And only if you do something special that you're billing extra for, maybe that would be on the bill, but it might save you some time in billing.
Well, I do have those. I have SOWs for all of my clients that outlines all that. The problem is that sometimes the hours are different, right? So whether it's hourly or project based, so you have to go in and change every line item because they shouldn't be billed for specific things. But yes, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
And maybe you could have your Legal Shield lawyers draw up a new contract every time they have a different thing coming up. Subtle.
Thanks, Jake.